Well, I feel like I've seen this young man somewhere before, Les.
A slimmer version of somebody we know, right?
The prototype was discovered in Southern California at UPW, shipped off to OVW and Jim Cornette, and somewhere in there, he turned into a young lad named John Cena.
He certainly did. You know, one of the first things I noticed about John, or Prototype, when he came to OVW and worked a few shows for us, he probably had more money invested in gear than a lot of these guys had in their homes, right? I mean, here he's the black trunks with trim, but the black shoes. But if he had green trunks, he had green shoes. Seriously, I thought, how many pairs, which is great. He was being a professional, right?
Without a doubt. And John Cena would face a man who he'd encounter many, many times throughout his career, but this may have been their very first one-on-one meeting as we ship it back to the ring announcer to get the official introduction of what would soon become a legendary performer. Third generation OVW prodigy, hence the music that many people might compare more with Al Snow over the years, but the song by the band Prodigy kind of fits that mold as far as somebody who picked up this business very naturally, did Randy Orton.
Yeah. Well, third generation. Wrestled his grandfather, wrestled his dad, never a little old to wrestle Randy. Hell of an athlete.
You got one more left in you, don't you?
No, I don't even have half of one left in me. But yeah, both these guys went on to make a huge mark.
Yeah, and you talk about those the genetics that the Orton family has, and John Cena at this point had recently turned 24 years of age. Randy Orton had turned 21. So you talk about the youth movement, but already two guys that were standing out not just for their physiques, not just for their charisma, their size, but certainly their work ethic in a big way as well.
And what you're going to see here from Prototype is a match you'll never see on WWE.
That's true. We've seen Cena and Orton almost ad nauseum over the years, main events, world title, stipulation matches, but we've never seen them in this environment, in an independent wrestling event, 2,000 strong, continuing to file in, and two guys who are cutting their teeth, learning their trade, and actually wrestling.
And at this point, you could see John.
You could see him.
Yes.
He's right there. I'm looking at him.
It was no, you can't see me at that point.
And, you talked about being in the ring with Bob Orton Sr. and Jr., two guys who, it's a lot of individuals would say they make it look easy. I mean, the story is Roddy Piper told Bob Orton, and he's got to mess up sometimes just so he can point out how difficult it is and then stop making everybody else look bad.
Look at the nice switches. Again, good mat wrestling, good switches, good takedowns.
Yeah, it's another one of those OVW showcases. John Cena would go on to win 16 world championships. Randy Orton currently at 13, I believe.
Make $1 or $2 or $3 or $4.
Yeah, just a bit. Probably have a...
And now doing movies, he's almost, followed The Rock in the last, couple of years, he's done 3 or 4 flicks.
Yeah, I'm sure their bank accounts aren't hurting.
No.
And a series of leg picks, and it's Orton on top, spinning toe hold. Cena rolls through, traps the leg.
Nice. And for those of you who think John is all about those 4 or 5 moves, check it out.
Yeah, this is before Cena really developed that rhythm, that formula, that marketable approach to a lot of his matches that really served well in the mainstream. And Cena, at this level, when you've got guys like Jim Cornette, Les Thatcher, Danny Davis, Rip Rogers around you, you got to show you can go. And that's not just on the mic, and that's not just doing your comeback. That's doing everything. And Cena's showing no respect to Orton in the early going with a slap, and Orton retaliates. You don't want to bring out the Randy Orton temper.
Look at Big John take a bump, will you?
A huge back body drop. And, we've seen as time went on, Orton always had that great vertical leap on that drop kick. As time progressed, he'd get in better and better shape, but Cena had that Greek god-like physique from day one in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I heard him do a promo in OVW that I'll never forget. He did it, and he said, "You want me to back that up and do it again?" And he backed in his, how you would, rewind something. I thought, that's really cool. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, and that was One of the Cena interviews that was spotlighted on the recent Cena sends Orton into the guardrail, the recent Ruthless Aggression special on the WWE Network that focused on the upbringing of the likes of Cena, Orton, Batista, Brock, and others, from developmental to television. And I think Cena caught a lot of people off guard when they found that rapper side of him. I think that was something that was hidden beneath the surface, and nobody really knew how to tap into that part of him. But once they saw what John was truly capable of verbally, and from a personality standpoint, I mean, there was no holding him back.
Yeah, and I'm what I'm enjoying here is seeing this John Cena, not the standard issue John Cena. WWE Raw style.
Well, you're seeing these two guys hungry. They're not.
Oh, right.
They're not set in their main event ways. They don't have the cushy contract. They're not already established to this audience. They have to work to earn the trust.
They're
and
making
respect
an
of this
impression.
audience.
They
absolutely. I mean, and that's not to say that they're lazy or resting on their laurels now. But here's the time where they really had to put the grit in, because they would have never been main eventers if not for busting their ass in events like this.
Yeah.
We talked about both men's inexperience. Orton had only been wrestling about a year and a half at this point. Cena had a bit more ring time, but had only moved out from California to Louisville about 4 or 5 months prior, so still very raw and new in their developmental journeys.
And Cena having his way with Orton now, but Randy to his feet, and you could see the fight and the resolve of Orton. How much do you think being third generation helped Randy from a technical standpoint, maybe getting his foot in the door, all-encompassingly? What about Bob Sr. and Jr. Was a direct reflection of Randy?
Well, with Bob Jr., Dad was a hell of a worker, right? And so, obviously, in talking, watching, how do you not learn something in that? So,
and how about Cena taken to the air?
Yes.
With a splash attempt, and, well, perhaps that's why he doesn't do it very often, but showing you once again that just because you see a certain side of John Cena, it's not totally encapsulating of his skill set.
Exactly. And about Randy, Randy had a hell of an amateur background.
That's true.
Yes.
I believe he was a Marine as well.
Yeah.
And Cena to his feet. And I think, we talk about Cena and just we're seeing a different side of him now. It's kind of like when people, get footage of Hulk Hogan in Japan and they say, well, I actually watched him wrestle. Why didn't he do that over here?
Yeah.
And the bottom line is he didn't need you to sell tickets. And John figured that same formula out. But at this point, John Cena needs every bit of help he can get to get noticed and get ahead and get out of this Randy Orton flapjack. And he slips the shoulder up. And this was pre-RKO. This was pre-attitude adjustment.
Might mention Briscoe, the referee, is an OVW referee.
Aha, indeed he is. And Cena with not the best roll-up. Orton able to get out of that quite handily. Cena a little bit of desperation here. Inside cradle by Randy now. And even back then, 24 and 20, you could see these guys had great chemistry.
Whoa. Yeah.
Orton, full Nelson slam. Nicely done on top, and Randy Orton pins John Cena clean, and maybe their first meeting.
Write that down.
So 21 years of age, probably one of the youngest guys you ever had at the Pillman events, but certainly holds his own, carries his weight, and turns up big, and certainly it would only turn bigger for him in the months and years ahead.
Absolutely.
And so great to see Orton and Cena at the primitive stages of their career, when they were still trying to earn their spot, and we know certainly they did, and they would move on to change the business, and really such an amazing feeling knowing that we have so many legends of the past, stars of the present, and we didn't know at the time, but maybe the two biggest stars of the next 15 years as well as we roll on with Pillman 01.